Hello, hello, can you hear me? Hi, hello, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. It's a bad connection. When I think of how many conversations I've had that started just like that, minutes and minutes of me trying to understand what they're saying, them trying to understand what I'm saying, or you might even be standing in front of somebody and you can kind of make out what the words are, but you don't really understand what they're saying. And it just really impressed on me how deliberate we have to be when it comes to understanding and communicating. We have to actually be intentional about understanding where someone's coming from. And yesterday I had an opportunity to sit in on an alpha meeting. And the purpose of the meeting was not to convince anyone of anything, not to say this is the way I think it should be, but to create dialogue and open up discussion. And we were asked a question, an open-ended question where there wasn't a right or wrong answer at one point. And it didn't matter if you believed in God, if you didn't believe in God, if you weren't sure. And the question was, if you suddenly found out that God was real and you could ask him anything you wanted, what would you ask him? And as somebody that studies personalities, I was fascinated by the different perspectives that when we just listened to each other, we brought to the table. So some people were really practical. Even before the question, they wanted to know, do I really have a right to ask the creator of the universe anything? Other people thought, well, we need to be careful about what we're asking God because God might think I've given you so much information that if you really want to know something, you can kind of figure it out yourself with the clues and the information I've implanted in you and the world that you live in. And other people wanted to ask really personal questions of God, like, why did you make me? Of all the people that you could have made, why did you make me in this time, in this place? And someone else wanted to just know, God, why do you love me? And as I listened to the different perspectives, it made me think. It made me question things that perhaps I wouldn't have questioned if I hadn't been listening to a different perspective. And I think even more important than just being able to say, can you hear me? Can you actually hear me? Which is so important as a human being to be heard. But just as important is being on the other side of that question and being able to say to another human being, yeah, I can hear you. I can actually hear you. And being able to listen and exchange what's in our heart is a huge part of what makes us human. Instead of trying to figure out what we disagree on, which sometimes we spend way too much time on, but just being able to say, I'm willing to make a space so that I can hear your heart is so important. So I was blessed by that conversation yesterday and reminded that it's so worth it to make time to say yes.